life improvement tools. I'll just start with this one. Meditation. I mean, it's been proven time and time again. Meditation helps with concentration, happiness, etc. I think it's, there's plenty of evidence out there.
Yeah.
Practicing gratitude has been shown to vastly improve people's happiness and general mental well-being. So, one thing that if you're not good at it, just think of at least, they say 3, but if you're really lazy, at least 1 thing per day that you're actually grateful for in your life, and it actually tends to start helping people. So I would do that. Practicing positive thinking. If you are worried about failing, which lots of people, including myself, are constantly worried about, don't focus on thinking and picturing and visualizing failing. Visualize your success. Visualize what it's going to feel like when you leave the gym, not how hard it is to do the things at the gym. I find that very, very helpful, and generally that tends to help.
And that's what all elite athletes do, is they visualize, like a basketball player visualizes himself making that game-winning shot.
Yep. Jonathan?
Ooh, me? Wow.
Well, we're letting you be included this time.
Yeah, that's what's up. Dude, that's why I wore the purple. I was like, maybe they'll notice me.
Royalty. Yeah.
Barney purple.
Barney purple.
Yeah, by the way, true New Englander are wearing shorts and a t-shirt when it's, barely 50. Not even 50 today, was it?
No, not even quite.
40.
But the sun felt so good.
Was it 50?
It's just that number, yeah.
Right now, it's like...
It felt so good.
Yeah.
But I'd say establishing a good morning routine.
Yeah.
A little ritual.
Like
Something to help you get in the groove.
The good morning exercise?
Well, no, I would use that as a way to wake up as opposed to, focusing on... I'm not really one for caffeine. I got enough natural energy, so... but yeah, the exercise program as part of your morning ritual is great. In that, visualization is always good. Like you said, affirmations goes along with the gratification and just really kind of showing your self-worth to yourself.
So can you say what you mean by affirmations specifically?
So after reading the Miracle Morning, I printed off their select affirmations. And pretty much it's just, telling you, how you deserve, what this person has and, how, you're going to work hard. Just stuff to, kind of hype you up and get you, mentally prepared to,
It's an affirming statement in the present tense.
Yeah,
so you're programming yourself to what you want to be.
To change
so
your
you're
frame of mind.
I am healthy and vibrant.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I see.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. Like they used to do on Saturday Night Live. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And if you keep saying that to yourself, you program yourself to whatever that affirmation is.
And people laugh, but it works.
It's true. Yeah.
No, it does.
Because the subconscious mind is a garden, and your conscious mind plants seeds in that garden constantly. So you're planting awesome seeds.
Another one.
Like Bruce Willis on that episode from Friends. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. Friend. Bruce Willis on Friends? I don't think I've seen that episode.
When he is Jennifer Aniston's boyfriend, and they go up to some cabin, and Ross is hiding under the bed.
Oh, nice.
Anyways.
See, I think I've always agreed with the statement that only white people watch Friends.
That's probably true.
Possibly.
And me being...
Your name's Marcus.
Yeah. Plus...
Wait, so you... I'm sorry, please finish.
I was left in the bleach water too long when I was a baby.
You believe you're a black man.
I might be, I think, Jamaican because I like spicy food, hot weather.
Percussion.
6 kids.
Yeah.
So, John, you were saying?
I like that I got 6 kids. I think a huge one that's overlooked is posture. How you hold yourself. Just holding just holding yourself in a different way, it changes your mentality, I feel. When you hold yourself up, you become more confident automatically. Your voice drops, you breathe deeper, you're opening everything up, energy flows better.
Yeah, everything's connected.
Yep. And working out. If you're not working out, then
what are you doing?
You shouldn't really be complaining about your life. Let's get first things first. Don't do CrossFit though. Only tools do that.
That is what they say.
Now, I've got sort of a meditation hack that I told Stevie P here recently. I came upon it accidentally, but I get really annoyed with commercials or radio, and sometimes I can't get podcasts to play because of where we are in the cell availability. But instead of like putting something on music, I just drive with silence. Think about how often you actually do that.
I was doing that today.
Like 10 minutes of actually no distractions, no phone, no nothing. Just be with your thoughts driving. I've been doing more and more of that, and it's good.
Yeah.
Nice.
And actually, it's the one time when you actually care about tire noise.
Nice.
I'm like, God, it's loud with my snow tires. Because I have snow tires. I'm like, jeez.
Journaling, but I'll leave that for Steve. I've been working on a satire version of his popular journal. Movement, yoga, being in nature, walking.
Walking,
ground yourself.
High intensity interval training I find to be definitely, and the Soswick got me involved with that, and it makes a huge difference.
You took all mine again.
Speaking of meditation hack, something that I want to throw in there, which actually goes back to the travel hack. I was listening to Joe Rogan, and he was I forget who he was talking to, but he's talking about how when he travels a lot, he can't sleep on the plane. He has like these theta meditations that he bought online, and he listens to it, and he gets you in that theta state, and you don't even realize that, you know, hours have gone by, and you're just in that such deep. You wake up, it's almost like you woke up, you feel refreshed, like ready to go. And so if you're someone who has a hard time meditating, that's a possibility. Just zoning out to goes by like a beat.
Yeah, brainwave entrainment.
Yeah.
And now you just reminded me of another tool for meditation that I was introduced to is called Headspace, which is an app that you can download.
I like that one.
If you are just trying to get into meditation and you just want someone to tell you what to do, boom, just download Headspace. It's super easy.
Yeah.
And calm.
I was going to say in calm.
And it'll only take, 10 minutes, something like that, per session to start. So Calm is another app.
Yep, Calm. It does different calming sounds and stuff.
Cool.
And a good one, if you find yourself having a hard time kind of letting go of thoughts and just letting them drift through, instead of focusing on that, focus on the sensations, like your body touching the ground, or just become more aware of yourself. And with doing that, you'll be able to let go, or ask yourself what's next. I think Headspace says, I wonder what thought's coming next, and it kind of helps transition you past that sticking point.
Yes.
I naturally found myself doing that when I started meditating, just focusing on every body part and the sensations, and that really got me out of my head. So I was able to really disassociate from the perpetual thoughts.
It's hard, and that's why you can't meditate if you're short on time or something. Make sure you have ample amounts of time, because then you get too worried.
Well, but
for me, I find I get too focused on that, and
I would say I agree with you. You should have enough time.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say ample time, because for example, with Headspace, I think the first session is literally 10 minutes. So if you have 15 minutes, you can do it.
Right. No, when I say ample, I mean enough time where you're not going to worry
Feeling
yourself or
rushed.
stress. Yeah.
Right.
You can actually
the classic quote, you should meditate 20 minutes a day, and if you don't have the time, meditate 40 minutes a day.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's why it's make sure you have the time. Choose a time when you have the time for
Also, you can do 2-minute meditations.
Yeah.
I do those all the time, and everyone has 2 minutes.
Oh, everyone does.
Is that why you're sleeping at your desk every time I come over?
Yeah.
All right. Did you have more on this one?
Nope.
Okay.
Marcus.
All right. John's going to kill me because now we're going into finance and investing. Personal finance strategies. What have you found that works and doesn't work?
Buy drugs, sell for more.
Buy low, sell high is what John just said. In case you didn't hear him, I'll speak up. Buy low, sell high.
Sell high.
Yeah.
Pun intended.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shit.
I've got one that doesn't typically work well.
Okay.
Gambling. Fortunately, that's a vice I've never really had. Unless you are really good at Texas Hold'em. That's probably the only exception.
Right, where someone has to win the money that's not the house.
Yeah. And, but I would say another I've found in investing is evaluating companies' products that you know you believe in or you use. And I would even say a great example where I saw this work out over time was, and you see it to this day, but I had a consulting gig where for one of the largest hotel chains in the world, they wanted me to go out and basically look at partners for their portal. So like we're at a hotel here and you have to always go through that terms and conditions bullshit page, and then there's a splash page you land on.
Yep.
Well, every night they had millions of people going through one, so most big companies will talk to you when you say, hey, I can guarantee 3 million people a night are going to see your logo when they log in. So I went and talked to Google, Yahoo, and Microsoft, right? Reached out, had this huge brand behind me. Took Microsoft 6 months to get back to me. Took Yahoo a month and a half. It took Google less than a week. And they said it would take a week, but they beat what they promised, right? Which is what you do.
Over-deliver.
Right.
Over-deliver. And I was look at the valuations of the companies and just sort of look at, like, Microsoft to me is a company of frustration. And I can see how, like, so many people get deterred from computers. It's like if you're not a technical person like you or I, and you open one, all this shit's popping out of you. You're just trying to, like, get used to it. And that's Microsoft 101. Like, something's coming at you. Something's coming.
I hate
Google, simple, enter, get answer. And the stock market valuations represent that as well.
It's actually it's good that you said that. It's very similar to Peter Lynch, who's considered one of the better investors, and he said, buy what you know. Same idea.
Well, and think about when you're at the grocery store, the things that you gravitate towards if you're a conscious consumer, right? And you're like actually being aware of price, value, the ingredients, things that are like baby products. It's a classic for new parents. Is the brands that you're attracted to. Companies you want to look into.
Yep.
I don't have any.
Okay. I found what works is simple investments. So like Mark was saying, index funds. I found that buying contrary to the market, unless there's some sort of monumental permanent change, like the abacus, you don't want to buy into an abacus company at this point, probably.
Fuck.
Sorry, Steve. Gotta sell ABAC. Keep your costs low. So if you're going to some sort of financial advisor and they're telling you about this mutual fund that they have, where they're going to charge you money to buy into it, probably have some sort of incentive to tell you to do that. And then maxing out any 401k matching if you have it. I mean, it's the
Free
most
money.
Free money. 50% return on investment, automatic. It's no brainer. Does not work. I took a stock tip from a friend one time. That went terribly. That's all I have to say about that. And buying the new hot company without knowing why is also generally a very bad strategy. Moving on, what uncommon views do you have about money or material things?
Well, let's add, you reminded me of one on that last one.
Oh, sorry. That's
worth sharing with people.
Yeah.
And you could probably explain it more technically than I can, but multi-level marketing. To make an investment in those programs, and I never have. And I've had a lot of people come at me over time with them. But if you understand profit margins and distribution, when people come at you with a business opportunity that requires your investment in multi-level marketing, where they are then making money off your purchase, and it's a pyramid scheme, period. Plain and simple.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are the first company names that come to mind when you think of that?
Wake Up Now is one. I know a couple people doing that.
What is it? Wake Up Now?
Wake Up Now.
Amway, but then there's the jewelry one that's big around here in New England. Like people have jewelry parties where, like, girls get together.
Oh, yeah, kind of like parties and
Herbalife. Herbalife Primerica is the financial one that's actually, I don't know if it's still around, but it was part of Citi, which is like one of the biggest banking firms in the world, and people don't realize that. And that's how they like get their foot in the door. It's like, oh, we're part of like one of the largest companies in the world, blah blah blah. Yeah. And then you realize like we're just literally distributing advice and recruiting more people to do that, and we get paid to do that. So I mean, I guess the point is, if the business model is based on getting other people to do the same thing that you're signing up for, just skip it. I mean, there's a reason that most people don't make money doing that. Otherwise, everyone would be doing it.
Yep.
All right. So what uncommon views do you have about money or material things? This one was really interested in hearing Steve, because I feel like you're ready for this one. It's like you're
chomping at the bit.
Yeah, ready to go.
Yeah, I got some good stuff on this. First of all, abundance mentality creates an abundance reality. You gotta open up the floodgates. You can't, like, a lot of people have all these limiting beliefs, and limiting beliefs subconsciously you'll make decisions that will limit yourself. So you have to have an abundance mentality, and that attracts more wealth and abundance.
So can you give me an example of what you mean by that? So I think I can't do something, and therefore, like, I guess, what do you mean?
Yeah, so if you're like, oh, I'm poor, you know, I don't make a lot of money, like that, you're going to both consciously and subconsciously neglect opportunities or not see opportunities to make more money, whether it's a raise at your job or business opportunities or anything like that. But if you have the opposite mentality, an abundance mentality, you're going to act upon any opportunity.
So is it sort of...
The trickier bit is I think there's a lot of people, I could be one included, and all of us could be, is the subconscious ones that you're not aware of.
Yeah.
And some of those you get at childhood and other places. You don't even realize you're hanging on to.
You can pick it up from your parents.
Yeah, like you don't even realize you're hanging on to, like, you know, you got all the talent, you got the education, whatever it is that you're supposed to have, but you haven't gone to that next level, and you don't even know you're limiting yourself. Yeah. That's the tricky stuff.
And that whole classic
book. How do you go
after
that?
That classic book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, is all about that. Like about how rich families, the kids stay rich because of their mentality. Yeah. Because they have that abundant mentality.
And that guy, Richard Kiyosaki, although he has since... Robert, thank you. Robert Kiyosaki has since become like a super marketing whore. That is a really interesting book that, like, it doesn't even give specific information, but it really just like opens your eyes to, okay, this is the mentality that I had that really helped. And it's like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. And then also what I said is, regarding material things, you don't need much stuff at all.
I'm moving, and so Steve was kind enough to remind me that I don't need much stuff, and that's why my moves suck so bad.
Yeah, like, people think you need to buy all this stuff and you need stuff to be happy, but it's really experiences that make it. And you really don't need much at all.
Wait, you're segueing too early. You're segueing too early.
Yeah, well, that's what I have on this stuff.
Okay. Marcus?
I say the same.
Okay.
And all I can say is having more rotations around the sun, vessel years than you guys, and I guarantee I've moved more than probably all of you combined in my life easily. I learned very early, like, moving can be a liberating thing because you just get rid of shit. Like, if you're coming down to the wire like you are now.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're just happy, like, take this shit. I don't need it.
It's
like, you know,
I moved so many times.
I had 1 year where I moved 5 times in 1 year in Boston.
Yeah, I started realizing.
At the end of it, I was just like, take it all.
Right. I don't care. Why am I buying these things? And you just realize, holy shit, that's crazy. And my poor parents, I mean, they had moved for like 30 years or something. They just moved recently. They're like, oh my god, this is the worst ever. I was like, yeah, look at all the shit you have in your attic. You know? Oh well.
It can be liberating though, getting that stuff
it's good.
off you.
It is. All right, John. Uncommon views about money or material things.
Well, I agree with the material things. It's kind of I never understood why people get so wrapped up in what they have and this and that. I mean, it doesn't define who you are. You can drive a nice car and still be a piece of shit. So,
right. Well, you can't drive for Uber. Just saying.
I can't. I know. I'm so bummed out about that, man. I really wanted to. I was like, could wait to meet some people, have some stories to tell.
Yeah.
No.
Like taxi cab confessions. You ever do
right? Yeah, that'd be awesome. Just no love stains in the back seat, and we'll be okay.
All right. Because I sort of had a feeling as to how this conversation was going to go, I was going to say money does, in fact, buy some happiness. So, within reason, if you get to a certain, and it was a study done they did, several years ago. If you earn, the more money you earn, up to about something like, I think it was $70,000 or somewhere around there, it does actually, it's correlated with happiness. And then beyond that, it's like, doesn't make much of a difference. Now, add a little bit from inflation and the maximum amount that would give you happiness. Who knows? Maybe it's like 80 now. I have no idea. But I guess the point is, making a certain amount of money is going to give you a little bit of happiness just because, financial security is a nice thing to have.
Basic needs.
I was going to say, is it really that it gives you happiness or is it takes stress away?
Well, what happens when you take stress away?
No, this is true, but I mean, you could still be unhappy from other things, It makes one thing, but you got to still focus on every other aspect.
Getting back into this, we've had this discussion about like India and going to slums and other people, that 80,000. And actually, I researched that study, and there's counter studies now because, of course, there's two types of happiness, and this is segueing into emotional well-being and life evaluation. And when it comes to life evaluation, they say then money actually does, because you're having more experiences. But in living in India, oftentimes, and I'll touch on this more later when we get into the statistics with America and depression, you can see it in a person's face.
Absolutely.
Whether they're stressed or happy. And I would see some of the poorest people on the planet and the women. And I was like, that it's just, I could read it in their soul. I'm like, I go back to America and I'm not sure that Americans have it better. Just you got all this shit and stuff. Like, look at this person in the slums and they're more dignified. And just their presence, you could read their body language.
Yep, I just recently started watching this documentary on Netflix called Happy, and it was talking about they profile different people that are either happy or not happy. Most of the people that are happy, and one of the first ones they profile is this very, very poor person in India. He's like a rickshaw driver. I don't know what you can call it. He's pulling a rickshaw for a living. And he's got like several kids, and they all literally live on like these like canvas beds in a tent, and like in the slums of India. And the guy is just like, I feel so happy and lucky. I mean, I come home and see my kids; they're happy to see me every day. I feel like the luckiest person on the planet, and I'm like super happy. And I'm like, wow, gives you some perspective.
Solid point of view.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the point is that I was trying to make is I think 70,000 is just some arbitrary number that happened to have like a level of correlation, and who knows, maybe it's a U.S. centric, I don't know, but I guess the point is, as long as you can live what you consider comfortably, I think is really all you need. And I mean, I think comfort is a relative term.
There you go. That was my reaction, because this is like, to me, comfort is almost like death. Like, if you're not being challenged in some way, you're not growing, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
So, like, being so comfortable, is that actually a good thing?
But I mean, let's just say you're living in some like war-torn region of the world.
Agree.
I mean, if your idea of comfort is surviving, I think it's going to be a little tougher to achieve, like, go after the things you truly want. I don't know. Who knows? But it's all about perspective.
It's like having your basic needs met, basically.
It's almost like Maslow's hierarchy.
Yeah, food, shelter, clothing. Maybe.
All right. Now we're ready to segue into happiness. Okay. So, information on experiences versus things. I mean, I think we all sort of have the same general opinion that, well, there's been studies.
They all confirm it, that experiences trump things by a long shot.
And they said that, specifically the study states they've studied the before and the after, and in both cases, even anticipating the experience and after the experience, people are like, I'm much happier because I had the experience than they are saying, oh, I'm very happy that I bought this thing, So, I don't know if anyone else has anything to contribute on that.
Yeah, things lose their novelty factor so quickly. That's a big part of it. So even if you buy a Ferrari, 6 months later, it's just your Ferrari. It loses that novelty factor, and then you have to chase another thing to get that feeling of happiness or that excitement.
Right.
One of the few good capitalistic commercials about that, which is kind of surprising if you think about their business model. MasterCard, remember they used to do those priceless commercials?
Yeah.
And there's one, having enough children to see this many times, but where they show like, Christmas toy X, $40, Christmas toy Y, $20, it's all this, and then watching the baby play with the box all day. Priceless. Yeah. It's not all this stupid.
I got a couple other ones on here.
Sure.
Experiences are incomparable to other people's experiences because they're so unique to each person, and things people tend to compare, like, oh, they have this TV, so I have to get that TV. With experiences, they're so unique that you can't compare them.
Right, and you still enjoy them even if you do compare them.
Yeah, because you can compare like storytelling together, and that's another thing. Experiences promote like social togetherness as well. Experiences with other people, sharing the stories of your experiences, all that stuff, and even.
I gotta expand.
He's wide open for you.
What are you trying to show us right now?
Come get some, big boy.
And then another point is that even bad experiences create good stories.
Like this.
Yeah.
This is a bad experience with Marcus running his legs at me. Alright. Okay. So, what makes people happy? And John, I'm going to have you go first, and then I'll go next.
People in general?
What would make one happy?
That's unique to the individual.
Oh, that's your answer. Oh, okay. I thought you were asking.
Yeah, I was clarifying.
So what makes you personally happy then, if you're saying it's unique to the individual?
Not a lot. I mean,
oh,
feeling the sun kiss my skin, the cool breeze, the birds chirping, like just the little things in life.
Browsing books.
Poetic.
I like to browse books. I like to just wander like the woods.
Nature, it sounds like?
A little pot.
Big fan of nature?
Big fan of nature. All natural. I mean, just enjoying stuff like this. Just trying to live in the moment as much as possible, whatever it may be. And I think it's going to go further in finding you happiness than trying to plan out or achieve this or just kind of let it all in. I mean, the world's a wonderful place, and I don't think a lot of people really appreciate that.
It's very zen of you. Okay.
What's up?
Mm-hmm.
I will say exercise. I was really expecting you to say that, so thank you for not stealing it, because it's like your job,
That's why I hate it now.
Yeah, but exercise, I mean, study after study, and we don't even talk about it, but it relieves depression symptoms, and you don't have to take any pills. It's not a cure-all. I know sometimes if you're super, super depressed, it's tough to get out and exercise, but I will say, that being said, what's happening? What are you doing? Why? Oh, good lordy. That is
my hands are all itchy now.
Stop throwing.
All right. Making people happy.
I was trying.
All right. Exercise. The next one is social relationships. It's super, super important. They say that one thing that people that are happy have in common is they have good, strong social relationships. They are social people. Generally, extroverts tend to be happier, etc., etc. Doesn't mean you're a bad person if you're an introvert. But even introverts, when they go out and are social and spend time with the people they enjoy spending time with, tends to make people happier. And I actually learned this today just by looking it up. Being busy. So not necessarily feeling rushed, and like, oh my god, I have no time to do anything, but like having your time occupied instead of trying to be like, oh, I have nothing to do, tends to make people a little happier.
I don't think it's busy. I think it's more of a sense of purpose.
Yeah.
Okay.
True.
That could be it. Having a job that doesn't suck, that helps since you spend so much time at it. Having a positive attitude is a big thing that makes people happy, and then making an effort to plan your happiness. I mean, just basically going out and saying, okay, I want to go do this, or John wants to go out in nature and smoke pot. I mean, those things, if you plan
go
those,
hand in hand.
yeah, then those things will happen and it'll make you happier.
Those that fail to plan to fail.
That awful cliche quote.
All right. Now, my happiness, I've got some data for you. Data about U.S. happiness since we live in America.
Good old American happiness.
So I already shared some of this, but I think John will find it interesting, as will our listeners. And I swiped some of this from Sean Stevenson's show notes, but just as a shout out there. In America, 7 out of 10 people have been prescribed a drug over the past 10 years. So 70% of all Americans get some sort of drug. 1 out of 10 are taking an antidepressant. And amongst women in their 40s and 50s, that number is 1 in 4. So, some people that aren't very happy, I guess. But they have found, of course, that, doctors in the industry are just like throwing stuff at them left and right, and people aren't really going out about it the right way. No,
you can't expect them to. They spend 5 minutes with you and get a clear picture of what the hell's really going on in your life.
No, the other that Mike touched on is just like human touch, and spending an intimacy is a tremendous aspect of happiness. Another thing I thought was a good point in some literature is you can literally program your mind to think that anything is happiness. For example, when it rains, most people in America think
enjoy the rain.
But most people think, oh, it's raining today. It's a bad thing, right?
That's why you got to go play in the rain.
Many ancient cultures and other people always see rain as a good thing because that's how you get crops, harvest, flowers.
Yeah, it's how life.
But we've unknowingly built this belief system in that the day's not going to be as good. So, I just thought that was an interesting point and something to touch on. And Mike's back. Mike?
Yeah?
What else do we have here?
No, I didn't go.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's Stephen go.
Yeah.
Well, in my opinion, happiness is what's left when you strip away any bullshit, like all of that fear and conditioning and all of that. So it's more about removal than accumulation. So once you remove your fears, once you remove anything that's holding you back, you're left with happiness.
Good point.
Yeah. I like it. Yeah. Okay. The paradox of choice. This was just something I really thought would be interesting. First of all, there's a TED Talk on it. So if you go and just Google paradox of choice, I'm sure it'll be the first thing that comes up. But
same as the author of the book.
Yeah. Yeah. And I hear it's not. I hear it is quite good. Just a quick quote. Autonomy and freedom of choice are critical to our well-being, and choice is critical to freedom and autonomy. Nonetheless, though modern Americans have more choice than any group of people ever has before, and thus presumably more freedom and autonomy, we don't seem to be benefiting from it psychologically. And what we're talking about is, if you have, let's say, 100 choices for a car, or different types of nuts that you want to buy, what if you buy the wrong nut? But like if you let's say you could buy the only options available were a Ford Explorer and a Toyota Camry. If you pick the Toyota Camry, you're not going to be like, oh man, I could have gotten an Explorer. What was I thinking? But if you got a Camry, you're like, oh, well, I could have gotten the Accord, and that person who bought it said it's got really great gas mileage, and this, other comparable car, a Passat or something, is supposed to be, better interior or whatever. It doesn't even matter, right? I guess the point is you can always have buyer's remorse, and it doesn't just apply to consumer purchasing. It's more like if you have all these options, you're more likely to overthink the decision and worry about not picking the right one and making the right decision and that sort of thing. So
it leads to feeling of being overwhelmed, depression, and even loneliness.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything on it? I mean, there's a lot of there's just a lot of studies and data that keep coming out on this, but they've even done studies at Stanford and other schools, like with things like chocolates. For example, like chocolate's something that people typically enjoy, but when you give them too many choices, it like takes away from tasteability, enjoyment of it, everything.
It's like the Cheesecake Factory with that long ass menu.
I suck when I have too many. Like I just like I'm just like, oh god,
What?
shell shock. I'm just like, and I could have known exactly what I wanted until that point. But once I get up and like, if I'm at a restaurant, I see all the options in front of me. I'm just like, shit.
Well,
John,
I don't even,
you're not alone.
But John, I think
I'm
it's
with
a
you.
hack, and one who's dined at restaurants for most of his nourishment, most of his adult life. When I see all that, I always, it takes me out of the moment too, to like be reading, like you're trying to get through all that crap, and I read enough, so I always just outsource it to the waiter. Seriously, and
Yeah, they give you whatever the
occasionally
oldest meat in the kitchen is.
disappointed,
Yeah.
but I'm like, yeah, I don't usually read off the menu.
What do you recommend? Simple as that.
We finishing up here?
Oh yeah, the some strategies that you have used to increase or maintain your happiness, or what have you found are successful ways of breaking out of a rut, which is something I think we've probably all experienced. So, Stephen, you want to start us off here?
Yeah. One is having the "this too shall pass" mentality. That really helps with maintaining happiness. So in the bad times, you recognize that it will pass and it's temporary, and in the good times, it makes you cherish those good moments as well. So having that "this too shall pass" mentality. And then another thing is to be present, to practice presence. Because whenever you're completely in the moment, you lose like all that fear and anxiety and all that bullshit. And the best resource for that is The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. That book is just life-changing, and it really dives into how really powerful presence is. And then another thing is working towards a goal. So like you mentioned before, like when someone has a sense of purpose, it begets happiness. And one more thing is helping others. If you're helping other people, you're not going to be depressed about your own problems. Exercising, obviously, that helps. Eating healthy. When you're eating healthy food, it creates healthy thoughts. And if you're eating sugar, it's...
So diet soda.
Yeah, definitely. All that stuff. And then expressing gratitude for even the smallest things. So one time when I was like really frustrated when I came to work one day, I wrote everything I was grateful for my job. And within like 20 minutes, my consciousness just shifted. I went from like completely complaining and depressed to vibrant and happy again.
That's a great idea. I should try that.
Yeah, and the last one I have is reading inspirational books.
Such as?
Like The Power of Now is one that I just
there you
mentioned. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Should we go in
He
clockwise?
stole
Counterclockwise?
he stole all mine.
What a jerk.
But
We've been stealing all of each other.
I would have said number one is help someone else. I think that for me is it. But the only thing I'd add is go for a hike. Get outside into nature. Go somewhere new. Change your perspective.
Sounds like someone else's smoke on the pot over there. I've been in a wicked rut myself lately, so this is kind of actually, I like this question. But we'll backtrack before that. Let change come, I guess, more naturally. Like, don't think of it as change. Like, pursue something to better yourself at, but let yourself progress at a natural pace. Like, evolve. Don't think you have to change. Because when you think you have to change, then you start forcing it and putting too much pressure on it. Especially if you start taking on too many things, or like you just let it happen. Focus on one thing now. Like, if you want to start waking up earlier, like an hour earlier every day, focus on just that, and then start working on maybe a morning ritual, or like just baby steps. Like, there's not a race.
Start with 5 minutes versus the hour.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like, work your way up. Don't overwhelm yourself, because that's how you end up reverting to bad habits. And that's what I found myself doing a couple times. And like, I've been catching myself, but it's like I was just trying to reading and taking all this information. It's like, oh, I want to do this and I want to do this, and like just overwhelmed myself.
I would support your point. And one of the early things I learned in business and stock picking and business models
is sit on the arm of your chair with bare feet.
No, is evolutionary versus revolutionary. The business, that's the way I was always taught it, is look for companies that are more evolutionary in their spaces versus revolutionary. The revolutionaries do work out here and there, but as a more tried and true strategy by portfolio managers, you're looking more for evolving business models. Because usually the revolutionary ones are boom, boom, quick, in and out, or they fizz out, fade out.
It's good. Okay, so for me, ways to increase or maintain your happiness: exercise, being social, being grateful, and accomplishing little things.
What is the passion with that, man?
Well, we just keep talking about exercise over and over.
Because exercise is the shit.
Yeah, that's why we have John, so we can teach us about exercise.
Resident meathead.
And then ways of breaking out of a rut. I mean, for me, I really think that the biggest thing is just giving yourself credit for little things and working on accomplishing little things. If you're stuck in one of those, oh God, I didn't do this right, and everything's terrible, and everything is awful, blah blah blah. It's a rut. Everybody knows what a rut is. I mean, I think if you're saying, okay, I want to accomplish this little thing today, you get that done. That's step one. Okay, and then you say, okay, now I'm going to accomplish this big thing, and then this other little thing, and basically it just starts to snowball. So the point is, I think, as John mentioned and some others have mentioned, taking these baby steps really will help to accelerate the process of breaking out of the rut. And it's really, I mean, to me at least, it's really the only feasible way to do it.
That and noticing you're in a rut in the first place. A lot of people are oblivious. They just kind of are miserable, but are still going around their mundane existence.
Yeah.
And I think
awareness.
Yeah, and I think awareness and acceptance. Just saying, okay, everybody gets in a rut.
That's the past.
Don't beat yourself up about it, but be like, okay, I'm in a rut. These things happen. Little steps, good to go. Right?
Like Chucky. Makes me think of Chucky. Child's Play. Those movies always scared me. Little bastards be anywhere.
And so now that we've talked about Chucky, which is usually the way we end our podcasts, I think we're going to wrap up for this week. Anybody have anything else?
Questions, information, feedback, info at Lifehack Advisors. We're on Stitcher, iTunes.
Review us on iTunes. We'll like it.
We'll love it.
Well, you could even potentially subscribe to our YouTube channel. Woo. And that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Party! I'll give you a hug if you do.
Free hugs from John.
Free hugs.
Clothing
That's actually a
optional,
lifetime promise.
Human contact.
Lifetime hugs.
Love me.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Peace.